Welcome to the Killer Boobies podcast, Unraveling Breast Implant Illness. Here's your hosts, Wendy Bunnell, Leslie Smoot, and Brandy Vega. Welcome to the Killer Boobies podcast. It's me, your host again today, Wendy Bunnell, and in my studio is the dynamic Gilbert. I have to tell you, I just met her for the first time today, and just in our little short conversation, I'm like, this woman is a freaking rock star. I can't wait to talk to her for the next 30, 40 minutes. So I'm super excited. And rather than me botch what you do for a profession, because it's really, really fascinating and interesting and important, I'm going to turn it over to you. So what do you do, Allie?
So thank you. Yeah, sometimes I struggle with, what exactly do I do? But I am a golf fitness professional and I live in Connecticut, and I primarily train men because most men seek out golf fitness. So through golf fitness, I basically have specialized in working with men from the men's health and hormone replacement perspective and helping them understand the myths and misconceptions when it comes to testosterone replacement and what they can do and why there's this epidemic of low T among men. So I do online and in-person nutrition coaching and training. So that's me in a nutshell.
And today we aren't talking about men, are we?
Yes, we have a nice change today. we get to talk about boobs. Boobs, not boners. That should be the title.
I love it. Wow. Had no idea what we were going to be talking about today, but this is exciting. I think that you're going to have some really, really specialized understanding of why the body does this, how it does this. It's really fascinating what you and I talked about before we started recording. So I'm really excited about this. Before we get into that though, tell us your story. Like, what happened with you and why do you know all this information? Obviously you are a survivor of breast implant illness. Am I correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
So yeah, just start telling us your story. I'd love to hear your journey.
Sure. I had never really had boobs ever. So, I had competed and been athletic. So I'm like, okay, I'm flat, whatever. And in 2016, it was a very, very trying time in my life. So horrible relationship. My mom was dying. I just needed a distraction. What better distraction than plastic surgery? So I was like, why not? Let's get some boobs. So it was like within literally like a month, I'm like one consult, okay, I like this guy, let's book it, blah, blah, blah. And everyone's like, how big are you going? Oh my God. And I was like, you know what? I don't even know. And I asked the surgeon, and he's like, well, I'm going to go as big as your anatomy will allow me to. And I was like, okay. And from what I told people, they're like, oh yeah, you want to go as big as possible because you always regret it. You just want to go bigger. I'm like, whatever. It was like 420 cc, these new gummy bear implants, FDA approved, blah, blah, blah.
Wow.
No warnings, nothing.
No worries.
Whatever. It was fun for like the first few months because I was like, oh my God, I could fill out like this shirt and this bra and this dress. And then it got really annoying because they're heavy.
Yeah.
Like I'm 5'3" and I had these like, because my back was so wide, I had double Ds, like 34 double Ds.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, all my sports bras were getting stretched out or whatever. But anyway, so that was March of 2016. And that fall, I had a big speaking engagement and I usually lean out for those. Couldn't lean out for it. Literally, this is what I do for a living. I get people lean. I couldn't do it to myself. And I was like, what the hell is going on? My body had always felt like puffy and just like inflamed.
Mm-hmm.
Don't consider that it's your boobs, right? So I'm like, okay. All of a sudden, just major gut issues. And that'd been something that, plagues women more than men anyway. But this was like, not anything I ate, I would blow, I would feel completely horrible. So, I at the time, I was very involved with a company that provided men with specialty blood work, or people actually, anybody with specialty blood work. So I had access to lab work every month. So I did based on whatever diet I was doing or how I was training, I was like really nerding out. And I'm like, I want to see, how this affects, my hormones and stuff like that. And so slowly things started declining after surgery, where I'm just like, wow, like my thyroid, which was completely normal, all of a sudden was all over the place. And I was like, okay, this is strange. And my free testosterone started to go really high. Don't know why. Wasn't on anything, not on any medications. Kind of just like ignored it and was like, oh, maybe I need to rest more. So, backed off training. And I was lifting like 4 or 5 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
And as 2 years went by, and then I had a couple very good practitioners, doctors, who were like, it might be your implants, because I just felt like shit all the time. I was so tired.
Wow, you had practitioners that told you
Yeah.
that. You were the very first person that I've ever met that actually had a doctor that honed in on this. That is a
Believe
miracle.
it. Yeah, I was like, and at first I'm like, what? But then I'm like, it makes sense. And so, I think because I can tell when doctors are, I guess, idiots, for lack of better term, versus, competent professionals that have access to some good ones.
Yeah.
So actually one of them was not a doctor. He's actually like me, like a health coach. And then one of them was a doctor in New York City. And she was like, let's test you for some heavy metals. So I was very high in thallium, which was one of the ingredients in the gummy bear implants. And basically just had this inflammatory response to everything. Couldn't handle dairy, couldn't handle vegetables, couldn't handle gluten, stuff like that. Literally, it's okay, try everything to feel better and then look at surgery. Tried everything to get better. Obviously, it didn't work. So I'm in the Facebook group that has like thousands of women, and there's a group for the New York, New Jersey, Connecticut area. Found a surgeon who basically only does explant now.
That's fantastic.
And loved him. He actually said in my follow-up back in August, the FDA is trying to put a black box warning on all implants, and he doesn't do any augmentation anymore. He only does
Wow, that is fantastic. Between that, and I know that Arizona just got passed with the in the legislation or legislator. I'm not even saying that right. In the government. Okay, let's just.
It's Friday. It's Friday.
Friday. Friday the 13th, actually.
Yes. During a pandemic, it's okay.
So forgive me, give me grace with my. Anyways, that there is informed consent that has to be supplied to every single patient before they undergo breast augmentation surgery. And it's a questionnaire that they actually have to go through and understand that these are potentially the impacts of breast implants, specifically with autoimmune issues and various things. And sweet Robin Tout said, anybody that wants that information and wants to pass this legislation can have it. She'll just pass it on to you and you can do that. You can do it in your own state. So between those two things, I'm so excited that women will actually be informed. If they choose to get it, it's on them. Totally, which is fine. And not all women get sick. So, that is fantastic news though, that your doctor did that. And I'm assuming he performed, full capsulectomy, en bloc, all of that.
Yeah, he I was like, yo, send me the pictures right away. Like I wanted to see them. He had to scrape so much, and mine were over the muscle. And he was like, I thought you'd be easy, 2.5 years, over the muscle. And he scraped so much tissue out. He said there's so much biofilm. When he sent it to get tested, nothing came up, but it was just crazy for how stuck it was. He had to cauterize a lot. So I actually, before that, I started getting jealous of how I used to look and see women who had very flat chests, but athletic build. So now, I laugh because I'm getting married next month. So my wedding dress, the way my pecs look, I'm like, yeah, I have actual pecs. I can flex them. I never thought I'd be so excited to have pecs over having absolutely no cleavage. And the seamstress, they're Russian. She's like, yeah, my dear, you have nothing. So we have to brew. And I'm like, oh, we can get bikini bite. We can glue that shit up to my chest. I don't care. I have pecs. So that was something, exciting about that. And even my surgeon's like, yes, I can see your pecs through your chest. And it's funny. And it's sometimes you miss having, you know, the formation of like a boob, or maybe, you know, in a sexual way, like I miss that, but I feel so much better
Mhm.
that there's nothing that could make me want to go down that road again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just love to be able to run and jump again without having that heaviness on my chest that isn't natural for my body, right?
Yep.
It's an amazing feeling to feel like, oh, my best friend is back, right? Or my
Yeah.
best friends are back.
And not wearing
And
a bra is like the best.
oh, I'm not even wearing one right now, folks.
Me neither. It's like, it's amazing. I could probably go sprint and not feel a thing like that. Literally, you know, losing weight for the wedding too makes me very flat, but I'm just like, yeah, 12-year-old boy, I am rocking this. Like, I don't care at all. But it's like, it's funny because 3 of the girls in my bridal party are getting, 2 of them had surgery. One of them is on her way.
Mhm.
You know, and they also just doing so much better. And shortly before I had surgery, I had a gallstone I had to go to the ER for. They just no idea why, because they're like, oh, are you an alcoholic? I'm like, really? Okay. Maybe twice a year I drink. Like, come on. And all the reasons why. And then I'm telling them, did you test this? Did you test this? Because it was so strange. So then, of course, you think like, fuck, I have pancreatic cancer or something that's going on. None of that happened. And I had a parasite too, and very, very strange, you know, gut issues similar to how you described.
Mhm.
And now I'm like, during my wedding prep, like Greek yogurt, whey protein that I hadn't had in like years. All of a
Wow.
sudden, no issues whatsoever. It's like amazing.
Oh, that is phenomenal news because I literally became allergic to everything. I mean,
Yeah.
I like you said, I mean, even some vegetables. I'm still really allergic to nightshades.
Yeah.
No bueno for me. But and I just choose to not eat sugar and not eat gluten because they weren't a part of my life for a while. And I thought, well, why? Why bring those back in? I feel so
Yeah.
much better without them. So, but I'm just curious from your experience and your testing and you working in this field, do you have any idea why the gut issues start to happen? The candida, the overgrowth, the yeast, the fungus, all of those things. Do you have any idea why that happens when we have breast implants inside of us?
I have to assume that it's the direct immune response, and so the body's reacting to this foreign thing inside you, and that requires so much like like they're all kind of, you know, all right, we got to prepare for whatever this foreign invader is, that it becomes like your immune system becomes suppressed in a sense.
Hmm.
So, and then that will allow foreign things to come in, because if you've got any type of leaking, and I don't mean like the implant itself leaking, but the fact that you have all these chemicals just sitting inside you, you know, the body's not going to react favorably to it.
Right.
And if you had any pre-existing issues like an autoimmune issue, or you have that history in your family, or people who, you know, they don't think about, like, if you had psychological trauma as a child that could manifest as an autoimmune issue later in life,
Mhm.
that's kind of a contraindication to get anything foreign put inside you. And not everyone, you know, leads a healthy lifestyle.
Right.
You know, like I read a lot of what these women write in the forums. I can't comment because it'll open a can of worms, but like what they think is healthy eating and what they think is the right path to become healthier is still very much misinformed, just like general America. So being in poor health already and getting something that's very cosmetic, you know, doesn't mesh well.
Yeah. Yeah. And you were so in tune with your body, you probably picked up on it pretty quick, you know, whereas a lot of that us, I can look back now and go, you know what? I was so used to poor health because I was eating the typical American diet, drinking Diet Coke like it was going out of style. I mean,
Yeah.
that was how I lived my life. And I never had enough energy. I was just always, you know, putting more caffeine in my system to give me that rush for a little bit. And so I wasn't super healthy before I got my breast implants. I say I was really healthy, but looking back, I'm like, no, I don't think I was super healthy. I really don't. And that just aggravated it, you know, substantially to the
Yeah.
point where my system I really believe in my heart, had I not gotten my breast implants out last October, I would not be here right now. I was that sick. Things were
Wow.
really starting to deteriorate. I had my appendix removed like 30
Oh my
days
God.
right before I discovered and put the pieces together, and things were going bad. I could feel my kidneys aching. My liver was totally overtaxed. I mean, my body just couldn't detoxify anymore. It was done. And so we're slowly piecing it together. But I'm just curious, for those women that do explant, that do make this choice to start to reclaim their health, um, what kind of guidance do you have for those women to start rebuilding their health? Is there some concrete things that they can do, some general consensus that this is going to help anyone, across the board, that you can maybe kind of give us a beginning place to start?
Sure. Yeah. I think if somebody has access to it, doing IV therapy with glutathione, something that's a heavy detoxer, I wouldn't go for like the fat burning cocktail. Like all of that's bullshit. But when
Mhm.
you can get vitamins directly in your veins that specifically help detox, I did that for I think about a month after surgery.
Okay.
Whether or not you feel it right away, it helps speed up the process and then gets the anesthetics out, gets all the drugs out, stuff like that. And then not really to rush back into the lifestyle that you had. Now, I was in the gym 12 days after because
Wow.
I healed very quickly, but it took about 5 weeks really before I could do full pull-ups without feeling like the pull
Mhm.
around the lat and bench press and stuff like that. So, do what is comfortable for your body and do a ton of walking, because walking lowers stress and it lowers cortisol, which is the main stress hormone. And it doesn't have an effect on our appetite as if it was like, quote, cardio. So I don't consider walking really cardio. I consider it like a necessary movement. And since it helps our body de-stress, that it's perfect to do, because you can do that ad infinitum, whatever is comfortable, whatever sports bra that you're wearing and stuff like that. Then obviously they always talk about like detox. I have to detox. Like no, just eat food that you know the ingredients about, getting plenty of protein in. So also that's a big one. A lot of people think, oh my God, I just had surgery, I have to diet. That is one of the worst times to go low calorie, because your metabolism actually elevates around 25% post surgery. So
Mm.
if we don't provide it the fuel it needs, then the recovery is going to take that much longer. So I literally came home and inhaled like a burger and sweet potato fries, and I was starving right after. So I ate like 2 chicken breasts within like an hour. That's a lot of food, but your body's just going to use it and shuttle all those nutrients to the healing process and not store as fat,
Mhm.
especially if you can keep your protein levels high. So a basic guide would be a gram per pound of body weight. You get very satiated on protein. It's very hard for the body to store protein as fat, and it helps replenish repair any muscle tissue that was cut, especially if you had under the muscle and stuff like that. So do not go low calorie. And
Mm.
don't be like, oh, okay, she said don't go low calorie, I'm going to eat all the donuts and everything. You
Yeah.
want your body to get nutritious foods. So, protein, carbs, and fats, but stuff that is actually whole foods and everything. So,
So if you can read the label or get it from your produce section, you're
yeah.
good.
And then supplement wise, they're so overrated now. Even with my nutrition coaching, if you have a very good multivitamin and a great fish oil, that's all you need.
Okay.
All you need,
You
unless
should see
you've got,
my
what's that?
supplement cabinet. You should see my supplement cabinet right now, Allie. I really should take a picture, because in my healing journey, when I didn't know what was going on, I was like, well, maybe this will help me
Oh
feel,
yeah.
maybe this will help me feel better. And it is ridiculous. I
Oh
probably
yeah.
have, and I don't think that I am exaggerating when I say I probably have $5,000 worth of supplements and my,
I believe it. I believe it because a lot of us go to all these different practitioners who give us all different supplements, especially the Funk Med ones, which I get it. I get why, because they're trying to, give you specialty ones. I'm the same way. Like our entire kitchen, like 2 cabinets is all supplements. And a lot of it is just stuff that was like throwing shit at the wall because nobody knew what would do what. So we all have like that massive collection that we really don't need, unless, if you have like specific sleep issues and need like the melatonin and the sleep stacks and stuff like that, CBD, those are all fine. But I'm saying from a, do I need this, you really just need a good multivitamin that will cover all bases. And then if you don't eat a lot of fish, adding a fish oil, is a good start, because nobody wants to eat 20 pills in the morning. And then at night, it's like shit, you get full off of pills. Like,
yeah.
Plus by that time, we're all sick of taking pills.
Yeah, no. I just went off of a protocol that my doctor put me on with some prescriptive medicines to get rid of some of the candida and whatnot. But, and I'm all finished with that. But, even what about a probiotic? I'm just curious about that. Is that something that is necessary, or does it just depend on the individual?
It really depends. So there's a lot about the microbiome that we know. There's a lot that we don't know, probably more that we don't know. And now they're realizing like even probiotics are really not as necessary as we once thought, because the pendulum swung where it's like, oh my God, everybody needs a probiotic. Well, actually, you only need a probiotic that's refrigerated. It has to be refrigerated. Well, actually, now we need prebiotics in order to stimulate the probiotic to work properly. Oh, well, you need one that's like 6,000 billion strains. Like, no. So if you get a stool test done and you are way deficient in a certain strain, yes. And there are prescriptive probiotics that practitioners will give you to target a specific thing. Otherwise it's like, just a waste of money. And some people, they say they feel a difference. That's fine. Like you can't really OD on probiotics. It can't do any harm for you.
Right.
So, if anything, just finish the bottle and then start a new brand, but they're not as like hyper in need unless you went through like, antibiotics and stuff like that. And, you're going through a gut restoration protocol. And that's where like the heavy duty ones like Metagenics gets prescriptive ones. And then Clara Labs have a few of them too, where your doctor knows this is the one that you'll benefit from. Otherwise, the only one that really doesn't bother people is the Saccharomyces boulardii, which is given to a lot of people with SIBO, because SIBO people can't really tolerate probiotics. But
yeah, no, that was me for a very long time. Yeah. So, another thing that people really, really encourage, and I'm curious what your response is for this, is binders right after. So that, I know for me, right after surgery, I could tell that my body was trying to get things moving again. Now I was finally able to detox, but it was detoxing way too fast and was causing some pretty significant issues for me. So they recommended a binder, which I think did what it was supposed to do during that time. I'm really grateful for that. I'm not taking it anymore, but I'm just curious if you feel like those are necessary, if it's a good thing, and maybe you can even explain what a binder is to those that don't understand what that is.
It very well can be. I think the most popular one is the activated charcoal. And some people, it can cause constipation if they overdo it, because, as a society, if 200 milligrams of caffeine is good, 900 is better. And to go to extremes, myself included, I'm in that camp. Like we're talking before, if somebody has access to doing colonics, I think that's a fantastic way to help, start that process. And they may need a little bit of liver stimulation and stuff like that, just to kind of filter out a lot of the drugs. So, some of those binders, like the bentonite clay is another one that, people will use. I don't think that they would harm when done properly, but the charcoal, you definitely, some people have gotten sick from it. Some people just have to be careful.
Okay. That's good to know. I used one called Zeolite was what I used. And that, I think that was really helpful in the beginning. I don't feel like it's necessary anymore. So I'm listening
Good.
to my body and saying, no, you know what? I'm actually really down to very few supplements, but I'm kind of with you. My body knows how to heal. If I will feed it well, and I will feed it in, or, you know, as much good, nutritious, solid food that is out of the produce section and around the perimeter of the store and not necessarily the middle of the store, I will support it and provide it with what it needs to reclaim my health. And that's really what we want to do. You know,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, we got our breast implants out so that we could start feeling better.
Right. Yeah.
So,
And it takes time, because I was fatigued it was like literally at the 6-week mark when I started making a turnaround. And part of, trying to feel better, I had gone back on Adderall, which I had kicked in my early 20s.
mm-hmm.
I had, ADD as a kid. And then I was just like so tired. I went back on Adderall. And I told my surgeon, I was like, after surgery, I took an Adderall to see if it would help me with energy. It did nothing. He's like, oh yeah, you went through a lot, and now, like, I don't need the medication and stuff. And it's like, I'm still a caffeine addict, because every trainer is, but it's not like the massive lethargy that you feel where you're just like, okay, I need like all the stimulants in the world. So
Yeah.
it is a healing process. And I would say too, like, another thing, to be careful of is reading the Facebook group posts and not comparing yourself to anybody else. Because the one thing I found that was really funny was everyone posts the before and after picture, like right before they go into surgery and then after.
Yeah.
Some people obviously have a fantastic transformation with that, but something to consider, if you don't really see much, which I didn't, one of my girlfriends didn't. Yeah. It's like, okay, you had a nap that was induced by drugs. You were fasting for however long. Like, you're going to be more bright-eyed and bushy-tailed than when you're groggy and you go in there in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
So that is normal. And then a lot of people are like, I've had this whoosh of inflammation. I lost 12 pounds, blah, blah, blah. Okay. If that's not you, that's okay. Like, it doesn't mean it's not going to happen, but everybody responds so uniquely, just like nutrition.
Mm-hmm.
Someone who says, oh, you got to try keto diet, it worked for me. That's great. You're not me,
Right.
So everyone really has to stick to like their own journey, what they feel comfortable with, and not be fooled by everybody else's progress or lack thereof. Because there are a lot of people that, if you didn't have a healthy lifestyle beforehand, or if you did and you're super in tune, you may heal at a much different rate than everybody else. And you may actually experience it to be harder if you were not as healthy. So everyone's like on their own journey. So just don't be fooled by like what all the groups and everything are saying. And I know it's hard to do because Dr. Google's like the go-to.
My husband teases me all the time. He's like, hey, you could ask Google. You could ask Facebook what to do for that. I'm like, oh, stop. I really, truly have not done that before, but I have been caught up before, in that. When I was, one day I came home from a gathering of friends when I was trying to put the pieces together. And this was towards where I was really, really not functioning very well. In fact, the whole time I was with my friends, I was laying in the camp chair, like death warmed over. And one of my friends said, I was really sick for a long time. And I found out that my memory foam mattress had mold in it. So I came home and I'm like, honey, we've got to look at our mattress. It might have mold. And he's like, stop the madness. Just stop the madness, And so you're exactly right. Don't go to Dr. Google. Don't go to the Facebook groups. I think they're really beautiful for support when you're having an emotionally hard day, to reach out, let those women love on you for a little bit when you're scared or nervous before your surgery. All of those things are great. And I think it does give us hope to see that some women have reclaimed their health, but to not expect that you're going to wake up and you're going to be miraculously 100% better, because that's just not realistic. Right?
Yeah. Cause I mean, a lot of people are like, oh, I can breathe better. I can see better, and I'm like, okay, I felt fucking amazing when I woke up, but that's the drugs. That's the drugs. nobody talks about like when it wears off. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to be the one person who's like, all right, this is the reality and brutal honesty. Cause I tend to be very transparent and forward. And I just didn't want to be that person and then antagonize anybody. So I kind of like left the group after like, okay, I'm out of surgery. Yay. This is how I feel. And then people reach out individually if they have questions, but otherwise I had nothing else to contribute. And it's kind of like, you know, the news now with this virus, like I can't watch the news. Like I got what I need from it, like done.
Yeah.
You know? So
I think it's a healthy way to deal with it. Yeah. Cause you can get caught up in the frenzy and all of the overarching fear. Even with this, with breast implant illness, I think you can really get caught up in almost being obsessive with it.
Yeah.
So learning what you need, moving forward, you know, getting armed with the education and the materials that you need for your own journey to reclaim your health, because we want you to live at your highest and best and be the best version of you. But, you know, knowing when it's time to say, okay, I'm done. I'm good.
Yeah. I remember, so I got my explant was in February of last year. And then my 1 year or 3 year follow-up with my initial surgeon was like 2 months later, and I forgot about it. So they called me and I told his assistant, I'm like, oh yeah, I just got him out. And she's like, what? And I was like, yeah, I got him out. They made me sick. She was like so confused. So then 2 days later, I get a voicemail. Doctor would like to, you know, talk to you and he's wondering why you didn't come to us and blah, blah, blah. And I didn't, you know, return it. And then she called me again, and I'm thinking like, okay, if he wants to talk to me, he knows where to find me. We've emailed before. He can book a consult with me and I'll be happy to talk to him. Because again, you know, these guys, they take it personally and they want to know like, oh my God, what happened? They don't want to hear that it causes all these issues that they didn't warn you about. So
yeah. I mean, I can put myself in their shoes and go, okay, they've done this for a living. That would really be a hard pill to swallow, to say, oh my gosh, I unknowingly made a lot of women sick, you know, and it wasn't purposeful by any means, but those same doctors, I hope once they get the data, will then go back and say, you know what? I'm going to do things differently from here on out. And now I do know that it potentially could cause all of these issues with women. And I'm seeing that a lot of doctors are going that way, and kudos to them, right? Because it's hard for you to admit, I possibly should have been giving these women this information all along, although you really can't if you don't have that information yourself. So yeah.
And I guess like he wasn't like the most personable person, but yeah, and I just found it strange because like he put in such big implants that like I'm only 38 and I looked like I was 90 because they started, you know, bottoming out. They were low, and I was just like, well, I don't want this. And so that caused them to flip. And you know, my explant surgeon's like, yeah, they were like this degree and that degree, and like, you know, I felt like I could just pull my shirt up from the bottom and then my boobs would be hanging out. And that's like what stretched all the sports bras out. And I was like, that, then I was miserable. I was like, then there's no point. And if I went, you know, braless, it was still flat here, the boobs down here. I'm like, yeah.
Not a good look.
Yeah, like there's nothing you can do about that unless you get another set under the muscle. And I was not going to do that. I mean,
yeah.
Just like things you don't think of, like, oh yeah, you look like you have saggy tits by the time you're 37 years old.
So, you know, just kind of in summing up this episode, I'm just curious, Allie, is there any additional piece of advice for women out there that are listening to this episode that are hoping that they can get back into a space where they're healthy again? Is there anything else that you can offer to them before we close things up?
Post-explant, you know, it's be patient.
Okay.
Be patient with yourself, because it, like I said, it's very easy to get influenced by other people's rate of progress, and just know that this is still a very misunderstood arena. So there's no protocol for you will feel XYZ. So just kind of take it day by day, and don't rush anything, but know that at least it's going to get better, because it can't get any worse because you don't have a menu anymore. So
Yeah, that's great. Well, thank you. It has been so much fun. And I love
this is
we're
cool.
a wealth of knowledge. This has been really helpful for even me. And I'm certain that a lot of listeners will gain a lot of valuable information. If they would like to get in touch with you directly, Allie, how would they do that? What is the best?
Probably Instagram. I'm mostly on Instagram. The Allie Gilbert is my handle. I don't really go on Twitter, and I'm on Facebook too, Allie Gilbert, ALI. And then my website is ali-gilbert.com.
Okay, fantastic. Thanks again. Have a fabulous day and have a fabulous wedding.
Thank you.
That's like a month away. This
I know.
is fantastic. And
Barring any other diseases that come our way.
do you ever like just shake your head and go, wow, life really throws me some curveballs here. This is interesting.
I'm thinking this is like payback for me being like, wedding planning is not that stressful. Okay, fast forward like a month later and it's like wham.
You didn't think it was stressful? Okay, well, I'll give you
okay, fine. Got it. Universe, I got it. I'm on your page. Right.
But regardless, it's going to be beautiful. However it turns out, it's going to be the perfect wedding for you. And so I'm super excited and celebrate this amazing day with you. So
thank you very much.
Have a fantastic day, month, wedding, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening. Spread the word by subscribing, liking, and sharing the Killer Boobies podcast today. You could be the person who helps someone reverse their pain and suffering and reclaim their health today.